Okay. Right, so tell me about Cornelius's music, Dad.
Well, the thing is that I personally have been working on an explanation of the religion of the Stone Age for about 20 years now. But I worked out that actually that there's a way of thinking of energy as a crystallization of space. And it was an idea that I got in a dream from Michael and Cornelius. As I went to sleep, I could see them.
Michael's your uncle, Cornelius is your is
Michael the potter and
Yeah.
Cornelius his son.
Cornelius Cardew, the musician.
Sorry?
Cornelius the musician.
Yes, Cornelius the musician. That they gave me this idea in a dream that space could be crystallized harmonically, and that I went on from there, and I drew these diagrams which basically show the way that space is crystallized. And what I wanted to say was that I could never understand Cornelius's music at all, no idea what it was about, but I made good friends with Seth, his brother, and Seth said they used to play around following harmonic sequences. And I suddenly realized that, of course, all Cornelius's music is an invitation and a guide to musicians do the same sort of thing between them. So it's not just a load of monkeys banging on musical instruments. It is actually very like ordinarily jamming musicians.
So Cornelius's music, although it may not sound it, it is actually in harmony.
It's intended to be for musicians who enjoy following harmonic sequences.
Right.
That's what Cornelius liked to do with his brothers, and I think that's what he wanted to pass on to the public in general was.
Yeah. So would you say that if people are jamming, and musicians are jamming, that their language is harmony?
I would say yes.
Okay.
That they listen to what the other guy does, and then if he plays C, then I believe they immediately think C, F, G, a harmonic sequence, notes that will blend in what the other person is playing.
So it's a bit like in that film, was it Deliverance or something? What was the film where the blind kid picks off the guy who plays a
Deliverance. The film Deliverance, the banjo duel, is actually the notes of that are F, C, G. It goes F, C, C, G, which is the standard harmonic sequence, the standards of spiral of fifths.
But the blind kid plays off the other guy who starts playing it. He hears it and then suddenly starts going.
Yeah, the
rapidly.
blind kid picks up on the harmonic sequence and extends it.
So these two were jamming together, but the blind kid was obviously extremely good at picking it up and playing it.
Well, he made variations that the other guy couldn't follow. I mean that.
Yeah. Go on, sorry.
I only know that it was a harmonic sequence because I read it in Wikipedia. But actually, it was precisely the harmonic sequence that I'd already worked out.
But I would say we can hear it in the dueling banjos. We can hear that it's in harmony. In Cornelius Cardew's music, for me, it's sometimes quite difficult to hear that it's in harmony.
It entirely depends on the musicians. If they can't do it, then there's a fuck up.
All right. So, do you want to talk about your diagram here as well, or
well, what I wanted to say was that when I was playing around with harmonic sequences, I had a dream that the whole of space could be thought of as crystallized harmony, and that if you do that, then natural formation, geometric formations happen in the shape of pyramids, precisely like the Giza pyramids, and that using that representation, I could make a painting of time. Time itself could be treated as a harmonic sequence. And what it looks like geometrically is a pyramid and a diagram that I've produced here. Basically, it is the representation of the time in the world is represented as a square, and that square gets incremental bigger with every increment of time. The square gets bigger, of the square of time, and the it forms a pyramid, so that you can think of Genesis, the beginning of the world, as a pyramid starting from the apex at infinity, or however long it was, and grow, and it would look to, if you were a multi-dimensional point of view, you would see a pyramid. So that's really why I painted my original pyramid.
So we'll look at that in a minute, Dad. There's a photograph of what Dad's talking about in the video. If you look at the end.
Okay.
Well, no, I'll add it on the end, Dad. All right.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything else? Or?
Well, what I discovered was that interests me now, in the sense that where it applies to artificial intelligence. First of all, a harmonic crystallization is a geometry which includes feedback loops, multiple feedback loops, which would be perfect for the implementation of recursive programming. And so that actually intelligence itself could be the continual running of recursive programs in the mind. Now, what I wanted to say about that was that in the crystallization of space that I have here, it shows that if you did start to do that, you would create a pyramid. If you began to process, you would, the processing itself would create a pyramid. But in the geometry of space, every frequency is right next to a discord frequency, and it means basically that when you do that, you automatically create another. You create another complementary program, making another pyramid, so that you get twin pyramids growing together. When you make one pyramid, you can't make just one pyramid. When you do it, you automatically create two.
And we can see that in the diagram at the end of the video.
And you can see that in the diagram.
All right, should we stop there for a minute?
There's just one extra thing I'd like to say is that in the case of Egypt, that the pyramids of Giza represent Jupiter and Saturn, and they are two different aspects of time that were thought of by the Stone Age people. They were thought of as time of two different sorts, complementary in exactly the way that the geometry appears to show in the harmonic pyramid.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Dad.
Yeah.
Let's go and look at your painting in a minute then.